You think pain weakens a man. It doesn't. It sharpens him. It walks beside me like a quiet partner, collecting every wound, every betrayal, every night I couldn't sleep, and turning them into something far more useful than fear. Power, authority, precision. People listen to a man who no longer reacts to pain because they don't understand him anymore. They don't know what he's capable of. Pain buys silence, patience, and the kind of discipline that breaks louder men in half. I don't carry my pain, I invest it, and every order I give is its return. Listen carefully, because this part isn't about me. It's about you and what you keep running from. Pain isn't your enemy. It's the only teacher that doesn't lie to you, doesn't flatter you, doesn't allow excuses. Pain tells you exactly who you are, exactly what you fear, exactly how much strength you pretend to have. And most people, they avoid that lesson their whole lives. They hide behind comfort, distraction, noise, anything that keeps the truth quiet. But you're here, aren't you? Which means some part of you knows you can't keep escaping it. So let me speak plainly. When pain comes, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this trying to show me? Pain is a classroom. The weak skip because they're afraid to be exposed. The strong stay because they're willing to confront the parts of themselves that are still unfinished. Pain isn't punishment, it's pressure. And pressure shapes you, sharpens you, forces you to evolve or collapse. You want to become someone people don't cross. Learn to sit with pain without begging it to leave. Let me tell you something most people never realize. Pain isn't here to break you. It's here to strip away the version of you that was never going to survive anyway. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you remain the same. Every time you choose the easier path, you stay predictable. Every time you avoid pain, you trade your potential for temporary relief. And that's why some people move through the world with weight, and others fade like smoke. If you can sit with pain, if you can breathe through it, study it, understand it, you gain something rare. Control. Control over your impulses. Control over the fear that rules most lives. People who avoid pain panic when it arrives. People who understand pain stay calm. And calmness is dominance. Because when you're calm in places where others crumble, they start looking at you differently. They see discipline they don't possess. They see resilience they can't imitate. They see a person who has been shaped, not sheltered. So don't skip the lessons pain hands you. Sit there, endure, learn. Pain will teach you how to protect your mind, how to sharpen your instincts, how to identify weakness, especially your own. And once you know where you're weak, you know exactly where to become untouchable. Treat pain like a mentor, not a monster. Because the moment you stop fighting it, you start mastering yourself. Look at yourself for a moment. Not the version you show the world, the real one underneath. The one that shakes when life hits harder than expected. Now listen closely, because I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to confront you. There comes a point, if you don't run from pain, where something changes. Not outside, inside. The pain doesn't vanish. It simply stops hurting the way it used to. And that moment right there, that's the turning point most people never reach. You know why? Because they panic too soon. They break too easily. They beg for relief before the lesson even begins. But if you endure long enough, the pain shifts. It becomes information. It becomes structure. It becomes direction. You start to recognize patterns. You start to understand what triggers you. You start to see exactly where your emotions control you and where you need to regain the reins. When pain stops hurting, it becomes honest. It reveals your habits, your attachments, your illusions. Most people never reach this stage because they only see pain as an attack, not an assessment. They think they're being destroyed, when actually, they're being shown what's still weak inside them. Hear this clearly. Pain isn't telling you, give up. It's telling you, this part of you needs work. You begin to see that pain isn't chaos. It's a signal, a teacher pointing to the exact area where you must build discipline, clarity, or distance. You stop being a victim of your emotions and start becoming the architect of your response. That's when people notice something different about you. They sense that you don't crumble where others do. You don't panic where others freeze. You don't break at the same pressure that shatters the majority. They won't know how you changed. They'll just feel it. And that alone shifts the balance in every room you walk into. So listen, don't run from pain. Observe it, measure it, use it, use it. When pain stops hurting, it stops controlling you. And once it stops controlling you, it becomes the sharpest tool you will ever carry. Master that moment, and you master yourself. Listen carefully, because this is where most people lie to themselves. They talk about healing as if life ever gives them the luxury to sit, breathe, recover, and rise again in some peaceful rhythm. That's not how the world works, and deep down, you know it. You don't heal, you harden, and you do it deliberately. Stop waiting for some perfect moment where everything makes sense. It won't come. Pain doesn't fade because time passes. It fades because you build a mind strong enough to carry it without shaking. And that only happens through calculation, not hope. Let me speak directly to you. If you're waiting to feel better, you're wasting your life. If you're waiting for the pain to disappear, you're surrendering control. If you're waiting for healing to arrive on its own, you're giving power to the very thing you hate. You don't heal. You adapt. You restructure. You make decisions that turn wounds into armor. Every painful experience gives you two options: break or build. Most people break because they sit inside their pain expecting it to magically transform them. That's not strategy. That's weakness disguised as patience. If you want to harden, you need calculation. You need awareness. You need cold, precise adjustments. Start by identifying what the pain is teaching you. Is it telling you that you trust too quickly? Is it telling you that your emotions run ahead of your judgment? Is it telling you that you let the wrong people too close? Or that you keep repeating choices that cost you more than they give? Pain isn't random. It always points at something specific. And once you identify it, you change the structure of your life around that information. Not emotionally, strategically. You cut people who drain you. You stop explaining yourself to those who don't listen. You remove access from those who mishandle it. You refuse situations that leave you weaker. That is calculated hardening, not healing, strengthening. You don't soften your heart hoping the world will treat it gently. You reinforce it until nothing external has the power to collapse it again. Understand this. The world respects those who carry pain without broadcasting it, who walk with scars but don't ask for sympathy, who have every reason to fall apart but remain steady. Why? Because he shows discipline, control, authority. People follow those who are unshaken. People fear those who cannot be broken in familiar ways. People obey the ones who rebuilt themselves with intelligence, not emotion. So stop chasing healing like it's some sanctuary waiting for you. Start building the version of yourself that pain cannot infiltrate. Harden with intention, strengthen with clarity. Become someone who doesn't need healing, because every strike only makes you more difficult to touch. Remember this, the strongest people aren't healed, they're engineered. And every piece was forged through calculation, not comfort. You think they're signs of what broke you. They're not. They're proof of what didn't. And whether you realize it or not, every scar you carry changes the way people read you. Scars speak before you do. Scars warn before you open your mouth. Scars tell a story of endurance that intimidates anyone who hasn't survived the same weight. So let me talk to you directly, without softening the truth. A person with scars moves differently, not weaker, sharper, not afraid. Aware. You don't trust blindly anymore. You don't react instantly. You don't waste energy explaining yourself to those who haven't earned the right to hear you. Your scars become your discipline. They teach you what to tolerate, what to walk away from, and what to end without hesitation. And here's the part most people overlook. Scars translate into authority. People feel it. They might not understand it, but they sense it. Your threshold is higher. Your patience is colder. Your perception is sharper. They can't lie to you easily, can't manipulate you the way they do with softer minds. Your scars have already taught you every trick in the book. That's why your presence itself becomes a command. Not because you force it, because you've earned it. When someone sees a person who has survived hell and still stands steady, they automatically adjust. Their voice lowers, their arrogance fades, their judgment slows down. Why? Because your scars remind them quietly that you've seen things, endured things, passed through things they wouldn't last a day in. Scars don't make you aggressive, they make you precise. You stop wasting emotion where it's not required. You stop bleeding energy for people who wouldn't give you a drop in return. You stop negotiating your worth. Your scars have already negotiated it for you. Understand something vital. Power isn't in how loudly you speak. It's in how deeply you've been cut and still refuse to collapse. Scars tell others, this person doesn't break in the usual ways. This person has already survived worse than you can threaten. This person is not here to be tested, so don't hide your scars. Don't soften them. Don't apologize for them. Wear them with the quiet confidence of someone who has earned every inch of strength they now carry. Because every scar you have is a silent command that tells the world exactly where you stand and exactly how far they cannot go. When you've lived through real pain, deep, dismantling, disorienting pain, you stop behaving the way ordinary people expect. And that alone makes you dangerous to the weak. Weak people depend on predictability. They need to know how others think, react, break, and bend. It keeps them comfortable. It gives them a sense of control. But someone who has survived enough pain doesn't react in the usual patterns anymore. You don't flinch where others would. You don't panic where others drown. You don't respond emotionally when they try to push your buttons. And suddenly, they can't read you. They can't anticipate you. They can't place you in the categories they rely on to feel superior. Pain shifts your internal wiring. It strips away fear. It strips away hesitation. It strips away the need for approval. Once the pain inside you becomes familiar, the world outside stops intimidating you, and the weak hate that. Because they depend on your fear to maintain their illusion of power. When you don't react the way they expect, you disrupt their comfort. Say nothing, they fear the silence. Show no anger, they fear the calm. Take no offense, they fear your detachment. Show no weakness, they fear your restraint. You become unpredictable, not because you're reckless, but because you're unshakable. Weak people expect you to crumble the moment life gets heavy. They expect you to complain, collapse, or beg for relief. That's the only script they understand. But when you've endured enough pain, you don't follow their script anymore. You decide your own timing, your own reactions, your own strategy. An unpredictability born from pain is not chaos, it's control. Understand this clearly. Unpredictability makes the weak step back, because anything they can't predict, they can't manipulate. Your composure confuses them. Your quietness alarms them. Your refusal to be rattled exposes their fragility. Pain didn't just toughen you. It rewired you into someone they cannot decode. And in a world full of people trying to size you up, categorize you, and weaken you, the greatest advantage you can carry is this. They don't know what you'll do next, because you're no longer ruled by the same fears that rule them. Pain made you unpredictable, and to the weak, that makes you untouchable. Why? Authority comes from experience, from endurance, from surviving what others cannot. And when your orders are born from pain, they carry weight that cannot be ignored. Think about it for a moment. People follow those they believe understand consequences. Pain teaches you what it costs to act recklessly, what it costs to trust blindly, what it costs to miscalculate. When you give an order, it's informed by that experience. It's precise. It's intentional. It's impossible to question without acknowledging your past. People don't just obey the strongest, they obey the unbreakable. They obey the person who has already absorbed the blows they can't even imagine. Every scar, every sleepless night, every betrayal turned into strategy. This is what gives your orders gravity. Here's the truth most never realize. Orders without experience are empty. Commands without understanding are ignored. Threats without credibility are laughed at. Pain ensures credibility. It ensures that every instruction you give is steeped in authority, earned, not demanded. When people sense that your words come from survival, not ego, they move differently. They pause. They calculate. They obey without hesitation. Directly, you give orders with clarity. You enforce standards with precision. You act decisively, and people notice. They respect it. They fear it. Not because you threaten them, but because your history proves your judgment is sound. Think about the alternative. People who command without experience. Their words are hollow. Their threats are empty. Their authority is fragile. Pain removes fragility. Pain strengthens clarity. Pain turns hesitation into immediacy. Pain converts experience into strategy. And strategy gives orders weight. So do not give commands lightly. Do not speak without purpose. Do not act without intention. Every order should reflect the lessons you've learned, the suffering you've endured, the discipline you've cultivated. When that happens, your words are no longer just sounds, they are signals. Orders carry weight when they come from someone who has been tested by pain, and nothing else compares. People obey because they sense the cost you've already paid. They obey because they understand, consciously or not, that ignoring you carries consequences they are not equipped to handle. Pain doesn't just strengthen you, it ensures that when you speak, the world listens. Listen carefully. This is the edge most people never reach. Pain doesn't just shape resilience, it sharpens perception. It teaches you to see what others overlook, to notice cracks before they widen, to sense hesitation before it becomes hesitation. When you've endured enough, you start reading the room differently. You notice subtle shifts in posture, fleeting expressions, the weight of a glance, the hesitation in a voice. These small signs, invisible to those who haven't suffered, become your intelligence. Pain trains you to detect weakness, not to exploit it immediately, but to understand it, predict it, and prepare for it. Most people walk through life blind to the vulnerabilities around them because they've never truly been tested. They only notice what hits them directly. But you notice the tremor before the storm. You recognize the fear before it speaks. You feel hesitation before it manifests. That awareness gives you power. It allows you to act with precision, to choose your battles, to strike where others are unprepared. It allows you to navigate the world with patience, understanding, and control. Here's the truth. People underestimate those who have known pain. They assume suffering softens, weakens, slows. They never realize it does the opposite. Pain rewires your instincts. It strengthens your attention. It forces you to focus on what matters, to disregard distractions, to understand where leverage exists before anyone else even sees it. When you see weakness before anyone else, you don't need to react hastily. You don't need to threaten, yell, or show off. Your advantage is quiet, invisible, and deadly, and people sense it. Even when they don't understand how you know, they feel that their actions are being anticipated, measured, counted. They sense that you've been through storms they cannot weather. And that awareness alone shifts the balance of power. Pain trains you not only to see weakness, but also to measure it, to recognize what can be pushed, what must be avoided, and what will break under pressure. It trains you to move with strategy instead of instinct alone, to act from clarity instead of panic. So never underestimate what suffering can teach you. Every strike you endured, every loss you survived, every betrayal you carried, they become tools. They become a lens through which you see the fragility in others before it becomes a threat to you. Pain gives vision. Pain gives timing. Pain gives control. And when you've learned this, you don't just survive in a world full of weakness, you dominate it. Listen closely. It doesn't obey the loud. It obeys the one who carries pain without fear, the one who has been hit, crushed, betrayed, and still stands steady. Fear of hurt keeps most people small. It keeps them compliant. It keeps them predictable. It makes them cautious, hesitant, and manipulable. But the man who doesn't fear pain, he operates differently. He doesn't flinch at threats. He doesn't crumble under pressure. He doesn't waste time calculating every possible insult or attack. And the world notices. People instinctively respect someone unshaken by the blows others use to control them. They hesitate. They yield without a word, because resisting a man who doesn't fear hurt is a gamble they cannot afford. Understand this clearly. Courage alone isn't enough. Bravery is visible, but fleeting. What makes you commanding is endurance, having faced what would break most men and using it to define your next move. When you stop fearing pain, hesitation disappears. You act with clarity. You speak with authority. You enforce rules with precision, not emotion. People follow that energy. They follow someone who isn't swayed by pressure, insult, or chaos. They follow someone whose stability is a warning, cross the line, and consequences are inevitable. And it's not intimidation in the obvious sense. It's presence. It's the weight of experience in every glance, every measured word, every controlled movement. You don't need to threaten. You don't need to shout. You don't need to explain. The man who doesn't fear hurt has already paid the price others avoid. He knows exactly what matters, what can be ignored, and what must be enforced. He doesn't react. He decides. And the world adjusts. Here's the key. People don't follow perfection. They follow certainty. They follow resolve. They follow the one who has stared pain in the face and refused to yield. Your fearlessness becomes a signal. Your composure becomes a measure. Your endurance becomes authority. And once you reach this point, the rules of interaction change. People no longer test you casually. They adjust their behavior instinctively. They obey the man who doesn't fear hurt, not because he demands it, but because he embodies the consequences of pain and survival. So remember this, pain is inevitable. Fear of it is optional. Choose not to fear it, and the world will bend around the man who remains unbroken. Understand this, pain no longer hunts me, it rides with me. Every scar, every strike, every betrayal has been transformed into precision, authority, and unshakable calm. I don't carry it as a burden, I wield it as a weapon. The world may test, provoke, and challenge, but it bends before someone who has endured and learned. Pain is not weakness, it is leverage. Pain is not loss, it is strategy. Every order I give, every move I make, every silence I hold is backed by it. Pain is my quiet horseman, and the world obeys its rider.